Now, one thing that I really do enjoy about Jon and Dave right now is how they really do have a long list of Star Wars projects that they are heavily involved in different phases, some of which are in pre-production, others of which in early development, some of which, by the way, are already gearing up to begin filming later this year. So there's a lot of things happening at the same exact time between their ambitions and goals and exactly what Disney is about to announce at Star Wars Celebration and D23, and a lot more things on the horizon to be unveiled next year as well. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, characters like Rey and Ben Solo, I believe, are the highlights of the sequel trilogy, right? We know that they are probably the two big characters that were at least somewhat decent in different areas. I feel that always, when we look at characters like Finn and Poe and stuff around those lines, they really did deserve a lot better writing and a lot more involvement story-wise in the sequel trilogy, where they could have done more things that had a bigger impact on the audience. And so when we focus on what Jon and Dave are currently crafting, well, we know that one thing in particular that they are crafting is a post-Episode 9 project. And this is said to be a Rise of Skywalker sequel, a direct sequel, so to speak, that's going to take place over a decade later. Now, we know that Jon and Dave are all focused in on creating post-Rise of Skywalker content because they actually do like focusing on a lot of those post-eras, where basically you have a Jedi Academy getting rebuilt. That's what Jon and Dave love about why they're involved in this post-return of the Jedi era, and why they have a lot of potential with the post-Rise of Skywalker era, because the Jedi are still pretty much, non-existent. And so it gives them the opportunity to rebuild again. Now, we already know that Jon and Dave are also looking at ways of, going before the prequels, focusing on the Old Republic as well, and they're heavily involved in upcoming films, but I digress. With that being put out there, one great thing about all of this is that, given that both Jon and Dave are getting ready to make big announcements for the franchise, it's noted that they are currently actively working on a big project that is said to be a direct sequel to Episode 9 that will include the return of both Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver as Rey and Ben Solo again. The aim is to get this said series released by 2026, and multiple storyboards and notes have already been complete. In many of these notes and storyboards, Favreau and Filoni's focus is a new Jedi Academy that is called the Skywalker Academy, and that the Jedi Temple is based on Ossus now. This was originally supposed to take place on Tatooine, however Jon and Dave figured many fans were growing tired and apathetic over sand planets and wanted to focus on the return of a world that was more vibrant and colorful, and that was teased in the Book of Boba Fett. In these storyboards, it showcases Rey, who is now around 12 to 15 years older, however, the latter is more likely age-wise. Rey is actually decked out in black clothing and guiding 8 students sitting in a circular fashion, where Ben Solo appears next right to her. However, Ben appears to appear different here. He appears to be somewhat transparent, however, without the appearance of being a traditional Force ghost. So let me just, focus on something here. Now, the thing about this, too, is that we talked about this Episode 9 sequel series a couple of months ago about how Jon and Dave originally wanted to dedicate and honor the Skywalker legacy by really focusing the Jedi Temple or the Jedi Academy or the new generation of Jedi to be based on Tatooine, basically the home of the Skywalkers. And that's why they wanted to name it the Skywalker Academy, where there was going to be a memorial for both Luke, Leia, and Anakin, stuff like that. However, they're moving it over to Ossus now, and I think it's a better move because I think that they are right. A lot of fans are growing tired and apathetic over sand planets. And when you look at a sand planet, right, there's really nothing to really look at. It's just a barren wasteland, if you really think about it. There's no visuals to focus on, there's nothing in the background, no creatures flying around for the most part if you're in the middle of nowhere. So it makes sense to focus more on a world like Ossus, which by the way is that foresty jungle-like world that you do see Luke and Grogu on in the Book of Boba Fett. And basically what they are about to do is that Rey's going to revisit that Jedi Temple training school years later after Episode 9 and rebuild it to something new. I actually do prefer that way over Tatooine, and I will be honest, because it's more like they are planning to make something more vibrant and colorful and things that are in the background to focus on. It makes more sense to me. However, alright, on top of this, Jon and Dave are said to be doing something different even with Ben Solo's return that will evolve the franchise and explore different realms. The series that they are building, of course, are, as actually described, to hold a bit of a darker tone than the sequel trilogy and will rely more on the mythology and Jedi lore aspects, similar to how the Ahsoka series will be treated. So keep in mind, the Ahsoka Tano series is going to focus on a darker tone as well, and more on the mythology and Jedi side of things. Which, you know what? I like that. This is something that I think fans need right now. Something that a lot of Star Wars fans have been asking for. This is what was supposed to be done in the Kenobi series, right? Focusing more on the mythology and stuff like that. But now that it's focusing on the Ahsoka series, of course, that gives them the opportunity to do that. Now, that brings us to the next thing, is that Jon and Dave are looking to somehow canonize one of the villains from the Star Wars Legends universe, specifically in the Legacy comics in the story, and that in this moment a young boy with blonde hair is seen standing next to Rey. This is said to be her child, who will become canon next year, first with upcoming books that focuses on bloodlines and family trees provided by Lucasfilm. Ben's return is also said to have something to do with the world between worlds. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is something that a lot of fans have been very curious about. Whatever happened to Ben Solo? Now, his demise was left very much, ambiguous at the very end of Episode 9 on film, and even in the novelization. In the novelization, the only thing that we do get is Ben Solo tells Rey, "I will always be with you," or somewhere around those lines, suggesting that he's a Force ghost, but without actually telling us that he is. And so Jon and Dave are taking that opportunity to do whatever they have to do to bring Ben Solo back in a very unique way. So he's said to be somewhat transparent, but not appearing like a traditional Force ghost. This could have something to do with a brand new realm that Jon and Dave are creating for Episode 9, or for this post-Episode 9 series, something brand new. And as you all know, there are many different realms in the galaxy, right? You have the Netherworld, that's going to be officially called, by the way, the Astral Plane in the post-Episode 9 series, and in the upcoming canon material as well. So I think that getting Daisy and, of course, Adam Driver back is a great move. This is something that fans have been asking for the longest time, and it's just great to know that Adam and Daisy are agreeing, and basically we're going to be getting brand new versions of Rey and Ben Solo. They're going to act differently, they're going to look different, they're basically going to be new characters in a sense. So anyways, guys, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.